Good morning, my love muffins. Reverend Sue from All Paths to God, recording live from my living room. Well, thank you for your prayers for my family members. I have 3 family members that are in the hospital or struggling with rather serious conditions. One does have COVID and ended up in the hospital because of I don't know what it was, an aneurysm related to the COVID. I'm not really sure, but I welcome all your prayers and higher consciousness on their behalf, as well as for all those who are challenged with medical conditions. And today, right after church, we're going to go to, Big Cypress National Preserve. I wanted to see the Milky Way again and commune with nature and God and grace and good. And so I and several people will be spending a couple days just communing with the truth, communing with that higher power. It's a challenging time, so it's a great time to take a little retreat like that. And it's also a great time to visit the basics in our belief system. And that's one of the few traditions in the religious science churches and centers, that the first 4 weeks in January, they cover the first 4 chapters of Ernest Holmes' textbook, Science of Mind. The thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. The thing itself, which we discussed last week, is the principle of life itself. It's God itself. It's the all-inclusiveness out of which all creation comes. Those mystical, magical elements of God. The essence of givingness and grace and goodness and love. The universal presence that's already in our soul. And today, the second week, we discuss the way it works. And if the presence is already in our soul, then the way it works is through us. It can't possibly work for us unless it works through us. And the way it works is the mathematical, the mechanical elements of God, the eternally operating law of God, the universal power that's always in operation, the thing itself and the way it works, the presence and the power, the love and the law. Love infinitely gives, meaning anything that we want or desire, anything that we can conceive, God already said yes. And the law delivers. The law provides form to match that consciousness of what we desire. Ernest Holmes says the presence and the power is the perfect dual unity of God. A divine ear that listens, and a universal law that does. And what it does completes what we call the Holy Trinity. What it does is shape form to become the life expression, the body of God in the physical world. The thing itself and the way it works. Love and law. Love gives and the law delivers. But the law must deliver accordingly, because that's the way it works. Through us, through us, through us. Law doesn't need us to make it work, but it needs something to work with. Something to work through. And it works through us. through our consciousness and through our thoughts. There is only one cosmic mind. And when that mind thinks, whatever it thinks appears. Thus, the focus of our mind, which by necessity is part of the one mind, the cosmic mind, the God mind, the focus of our mind is with what, or through which, the power and the law of God works. Thus, as you've heard it said millions of times, consciousness creates, thoughts are things. That's the way it works. Our thoughts and our circumstances are always an exact match. Ernest Holmes tells us we're not here to learn how to make thoughts become things. We're here to learn they already do. So, thought is the prison that holds us captive in the things we don't desire in life. And thought is the savior that frees us and delivers us the things that we do want. Know the truth? I heard you, and the truth shall set us free. The thing itself and the way it works, presence and power, the love and the law. Love gives, law delivers, but it delivers accordingly, according to our thoughts. True thoughts, false thoughts, doesn't really matter. Whichever thoughts capture the focus of our minds. So ultimately, our thoughts set the limit to the flow of good in our lives, to the flow of something that in and of itself has no limits. Good is infinite. It is the infinite grace and givingness of God. So our thoughts limit it in its expression, but it's not limited in its essence. And this aspect of the teachings is what made me finally understand why things happen the way they do in the world. I know I'm not alone when there's tragedies and traumas and saying, why would God let this happen? How could this possibly happen? We're going through a time period like that now. How could these things be happening? How could a loving God allow these things to happen? But once we understand the thing itself and the way it works, the loving givingness of God, but the givingness through law, through a medium of consciousness that has to entertain ideas before they manifest, we can see how society, how the world, how our life circumstances are a mirror and reflect what it is we have in our own consciousness. Consciousness creates. This is the way it works. Thoughts are things. Because thoughts can't think themselves. They need a thinker. They need a chooser. That's why when we say, why would God allow this to happen? God doesn't allow things to happen. God allows choice to happen. God allows us to select the direction of our consciousness, which then the law acts on accordingly. So, if you want the world to be a better place, I've heard you, we have to be a better person in it. Meaning, we have to be a better thinking person in it. We have to hold better, higher consciousness in it. Why? Well, because the world's made up of people, made up of thinking people. And the circumstances of our lives are made up of the thoughts that they think. When we don't create by intent. We create by default. Intent is deliberate creation. Default is accidental creation. Intent is the mode of operation when we are fully in our state of awareness, when we are actively choosing our thoughts. The default mode of operation is when our programmed thoughts, our conditioned thoughts, our habit thoughts are on autopilot. There's a lot in my life and in my world that I don't intend. I would imagine you feel very much the same way. So I am not creating them out of intention, which means I must be creating them out of default mode, out of programmed thinking, out of my thoughts putting a limit on a good that is infinite in its capability to flow. So my default mode is not serving me. It's not serving the world. And I think we'd all agree the world seems just a little bit crazy right about now. So I want it to change. I want to change. Don't you want to change, my love muffins? If you want the world to be a better place, you have to be a better person in it, a better thinking person in it. We have to be the change. In our belief system, we lead by example, not by opinion. So we want to lead this change. And every time I talk about this, I think of a comic I stumbled across, which I'll display on the screen. The origin is unknown, but you see somebody at a podium standing in front of an audience of people saying, "Who wants change?" And you see everybody's hands up in the audience. And then it says, "Who wants to change?" And fewer hands go up. And the last frame is, "Who wants to lead change?" The room is empty. Well, I know we want change. And I know in our belief system, knowing that consciousness creates, we want to be the change. And I know that if we are the change, then we shall lead the change. And I see your hands up. I know you want to be the change. That's why we come to New Thought churches. One of the stories in Alan Cohen's book, A Daily Dose of Sanity, he talks about a sociologist named Paul Ray and a psychologist named Sherry Anderson, who described people being disenchanted with traditional religious and social and political roles. And so they coined a term called cultural creative. Cultural creatives, rather than ascribing to expected values or norms, or rather than being seduced by what's happening in the world of experience, hold visionary values and visionary ideas and seek thoughts and feelings and a lifestyle unlike the masses and unlike the negatives that they see unfolding in the world around them. And a little bit of that would be really good about now. If we hold our vision and don't get down in the dirt with the masses right about now, that would be being the change. And my friends, we are cultural creatives. We do believe in a better way. We've always believed in a better way. There must be a better way has called from within us, has haunted us through the years, as we are faced with things that we believe don't reflect the true essence and potential of our human family. So many times, this belief has chewed us apart. Why? Why is this happening? How can this be happening? Going through these constant questions and turmoils around it when we know it could be better. And it's chewed us apart long enough. It's time to put ourselves and our world back together again. We now know the truth. We know the presence and the power. We know the love and the law of God. We know the thing itself and the way it works. So your mission, my friends, is to allow this idea, this thought, to go through your mind as many times as you can this week. Through us, through us, through us. This is the way it works. It cannot work for us unless it works through us. This is the law of God. And we're not a gathering of doubters, even though we frequently wrestle with our doubts. We are a gathering of visionaries. We are a gathering of believers. So know that your thoughts matter. And this week, hold that idea in your head. Through us, through us, through us. We are the way it works. So be what tomorrow needs by remembering tomorrow needs thoughts of goodness and grace that flow through us and through us and through us. We lead by example, not by opinion. Know God and make God known through us. We can't go back and make a new start, but we can start now and make a new ending. We are the people. Now is the time, and this is the way. Namaste, my love muffins.